Hi, I'm Kriss Williams. Welcome to my channel, and if you're returning, welcome back. So maybe today you're tempted to give up. Maybe today somebody said something to you, you got some bad news, things are not going the way that you had planned them to go or how you would hope them to go, and you were tempted to give up. Well, I wanted to share with you today about a man in the Bible who the very same thing happened to, and what transpired with him and Jesus. So I'll just read the verse here. It says in Mark chapter 5, verse 22, then a leader of the local synagogue whose name was Jarius arrived. When he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet, pleading fervently with him. My little girl is dying, he said. Please come and lay your hands on her, heal her so she can live. So Jesus started to walk with Jarius. And so as they were going on their way, it took longer than going directly to his home, because this is where the lady, the woman with the issue of blood comes, and she's healed. And so Jesus stops to talk with her. And so while Jesus is talking with this woman, verse 34, it picks up, and actually verse 35, while Jesus is talking with this woman, in verse 35, it says, while he was still speaking with her, the lady who he just healed with the issue of blood, messengers arrived from the home of Jarius, the leader of the synagogue. They told him, your daughter is dead. There's no use troubling the teacher now. What message have you heard lately? What message have you gotten that says it's too late? Don't bother the teacher now. Don't bother Jesus with this now anymore, because it's too late. Or what has happened? It may not be something that you've heard, but what has happened in your life that is giving you the message, that is saying to you, there's no point. There's no point in praying anymore. There's no point in believing God anymore. It's too late. It's too late. Don't bother Jesus with this anymore. Now, I love verse 36, because it says, but Jesus overheard them and said to Jarius, don't be afraid, just have faith. This is the NLT version. Some versions say, just believe. Jesus is saying to you today, I know what you've heard. I know what has happened. I know that you are tempted to stop praying about this. I know that you're tempted to stop believing about this thing. I know that you're tempted to stop praying to me about this thing, or asking me, or believing, or whatever it is. He's saying to you today, don't be afraid. Just have faith. Just keep believing. And it continues, the story continues. Then Jesus stopped the crowd and wouldn't let anyone go with him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw much commotion and weeping and wailing. He went inside and asked, why all this commotion and weeping? The child isn't dead, she's only asleep. This is so interesting, because Jesus is going to this man's house, Jarius, and he's telling the crowd, y'all got to stop right here, because this is just going to be between me and Jarius and my disciples. Because he is about to do something sacred and holy. And I honestly believe that, even we see it throughout the Gospels, it's like, when we read it, we see that Jesus brings out what is in the heart. He has a way of doing that. Jesus knew what people were thinking already. Jesus knows what we're thinking. And Jesus says to the crowd, she's only asleep. And you know what the crowd does? The crowd laughed at him. And then he made them leave. See, Jesus brought out what was in their hearts. They were there to be entertained. Here is a girl who is dead, and he basically says she's sleeping. There's some hope there that she's just sleeping. And then they don't go, wait, really? Oh, that would be awesome. No, they laugh. Jesus brought out what was in their heart, and he made them leave. The question is, first of all, what crowd are you following? Because we cannot follow a crowd and we cannot follow Jesus. Jesus has something special for those who choose to follow him. Jesus wanted to do something special and sacred for those who believed. Jarius believed. His wife believed. The verse continues. He says, he took the girl's father and mother and 3 disciples into the room where the girl was lying. And he tells the little girl to get up. And the little girl, who was 12 years old, immediately stood up and walked around. So he tells this little girl to get up. But see, The crowd was not worthy of what he was about to do. Don't allow the fear that you feel to stop you from believing. Jesus is saying, don't be afraid, just believe. And we have to make a decision. We have to make a choice. This is the second thing that this passage tells us, is are we going to follow the crowd or are we going to follow Jesus? Because when he said, she's only asleep, the crowd started laughing. Are you going to be in that crowd that is just like, oh gosh, God, this has just gone too far. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, you can't do anything about this now. Or are we going to follow Jesus? Who are we going to listen to? Who are you choosing to follow? God has something special for those who choose to follow him. But we cannot follow the crowd and follow Jesus. We cannot believe the crowd and continue to believe Jesus. I don't know what message you've received, and that could be a message, just like literal message, or maybe it is something that is happening and you're getting afraid and you're tempted to stop believing and saying, you know, there's no point in praying, there's no point in asking God, there's no point in seeking God, there's no point in believing God anymore because of what I am seeing and what I'm hearing is happening. There's no point in believing God. But Jesus is saying, I know what you're hearing, I know what you're seeing. And he's saying, don't be afraid. Just have faith. Just keep believing. Because he has something special for those who choose to follow him. He wants to show you something special. He has something special and sacred and holy for those who choose to follow him, for those who don't listen to the crowd, but for those who choose to follow him. Regardless of what you're hearing, regardless of what you're seeing, God has something special in store for you. He did for Jarius, and he does for you.